He is in fact everything you think he is. That's not all he is. We have seen Julia Roberts in movies for as long as we can remember, and some of her roles are among the best. Because of how well she performed and how talented she was, she became very famous on TV. Fans can see everything about Julia except for her marriage. Julia Motor married photographer Daniel Motor 22 years ago, but fans still don't know anything about their marriage. But Daniel has finally told us everything, and it turns out to be what we all thought about Julia. So stay tuned as we go deeper into their marriage and the shocking things Daniel told Julia. The best things in my life are the ones I've made with my husband and our kids. Everything about Daniel Motor. A lot of people don't know who he is or what he does, except that he is Julia Roberts' wonderful and loving husband. His well-known name in the business has always been behind Julius. That wasn't always the case, though. He was born in Los Angeles, California on January 31st, 1969. Sad to say, not much is known about his childhood. He started his work as a production assistant in the action movie Crimson Tide in 1995. The next year, he switched from action movies to sports movies and worked on the set of The Fan in 1996. After that, he worked as an electrician and cameraman on movies like The Brave Enemy of the State, Big T, and Tuesdays with Maury. He had worked behind the scenes on a lot of big movies, so it was a surprise when he made his directorial debut in the 2000 short comedy Kid Quick. Daniel has had hit after hit since then. He worked on movies like Secret in Their Eyes, Jesus Henry Christ, North Highland Park, Plush, The Normal Heart, and Grand Champion. He was even nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for his work as a cinematographer on the TV movie The Normal Heart. And he's worked on bigger movies like The Mexican, Mona Lisa Smile, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Friends with Money, and Spider-Man 3. He's also made some short films. But the only thing that is known for sure about him is his work. It's important to him that his private life stays out of the public eye and away from the media. His first marriage to Vera Steinberg from 1990 to 2002 is the only thing that is public. Then he got married to Julia, who became famous the same year that he and Vera split up. That was a big secret, especially since Daniel was married when he met her on the set of her movie The Mexican in the 2000s. Daniel was still married, so they supposedly didn't start anything serious. That changed after 2 years, though. They became interested in each other and chose to find out more about it. He was already in the process of cutting ties with his wife at that point. After he got divorced from Vera, he married Julia in a small wedding at her ranch in Taos, New Mexico, on July 4th, 2002. Daniel's work, on the other hand, has been overshadowed by Julia's since then. Julia is now the star of the show, and not many people remember Daniel. Early life and work of Julia Roberts. She was born on October 28, 1967, in Smyrna, Georgia. She is the youngest of 3 children. As a child, she was always around creative people. Both of her parents were actors and ran a workshop for aspiring writers and performers. Her brother was also very creative and skilled. Julia was not like that, though. She wasn't interested in being artistic. She really wanted to become a vet instead. She quickly changed her mind, though, especially when she realized she wasn't smart enough to deal with science. She graduated from high school in 19 with 5, though, and could have gone to college or started a job in show business. As you might guess, she picked the second one. So Julia packed her bags and went to New York City to live with her sister Lisa. Lisa and their brother Eric were both trying to become actors. First, it looked like Julia might be the one to go her own way in the family, but it didn't take long for her to become part of the family business. In 1987, she got her big break when she was cast in the TV show Crime Story. The next year, she played Daisy in Mystic Pizza, who was wild but lost. That role finally made people notice her. By 1989, Julia's part in Steel Magnolias had made her a real rising star in Hollywood. She was in the movie with Shirley MacLaine and Sally Field, both famous actresses, and was later nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for her part. Even though her work was on the rise, she didn't become famous all over the world until she played a hooker in the 1990 hit movie Pretty Woman. Julia got to work with Richard Gere to bring this famous piece of Hollywood history to life. She was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress because of how convincing her acting was. Unfortunately, after that part, he had a few bad careers. For example, Dying Young, which came out in 1991, got mixed reviews, and later that same year, Hook did the same thing. Julia's career seemed to be coming to an end since both movies didn't do well at the box office. Even worse, around this time, Julia called off her wedding to fellow star Kiefer Sutherland just a few days before the events that were supposed to happen. When Julia finally told everyone that she was going to focus on acting for a while, it was a big deal. No one was shocked. People thought that either her work was failing or she had too many personal problems and needed to take a break. Because of this, she stopped acting and wasn't in the news for a while. She came back quickly, though, and this time she was bigger. It was a big hit when she came back after the break. first movie in 1993 was the thriller The Pelican Brief, which stars Denzel Washington. After 3 years, she played a maid in Mary Riley. The movie didn't really get people excited, but it did get her enough praise to make her famous again as America's sweetheart. After this, Julia once again ruled the box office with hit comedies like My Best Friend's Wedding 1997 and Notting Hill 1999, both starring Hugh Grant. She was able to bring people to the highly panned movie Runaway Bride, which she worked on with Richard Gere, who she worked with in Pretty Woman after that. Julia starred in the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson and Patrick Stewart in 1997. Again, Julia made a big splash in 2000 when she played the main character in Erin Brockovich, a brave single mom who was having a hard time. Erin Brockovich helped lead a fight against a California power company that allegedly poisoned a small town's water supply in the movie, which was based on a real story. She got a lot of awards this time, including her first Oscar, for how well she did. And the $20 million she got for making the movie. She was the first woman in Hollywood to get such a large amount of money. The next year, after she had become a real star, she appeared in the independent film The Mexican with Brad Pitt and James Gandolfini. She met cameraman Danny Moder while they were making the movie. It was at that time that he was married and Julia was seeing another star, Benjamin Bratt. After Erin Brockovich, Julia chose to play some parts that were less serious. She was in Ocean's 11 2001 and Ocean's 12 2003, both with Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Matt Damon, and Andy Garcia. In the same year, she went the emotional way, making the choice to be in Closer with Jude Law, Natalie Portman, and Clive Owen. The movie, which was directed by Mike Nichols, looked at how two relationships were complicated by cheating and lying. Last but not least, Julia made her Broadway start in 2006 in 3 Days of Rain, which starred Bradley Cooper and Paul Rudd. There were mixed reviews for the show, but it made a lot of money, running for 12 weeks and making more than $12 million. Julia continued her impressive career with a great role in Charlie Wilson's War 2007, which starred Tom Hanks and Philip Seymour Hoffman. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress for her role as a rich Texas socialite who is very against communism. It was so moving that she persuaded Congressman Charlie Wilson to support Afghan fighters fighting Soviet troops. Later that same year, Julia was in Fireflies in the Garden, a family story with a great cast that included Willem Dafoe, Emily Watson, and Ryan Reynolds. It's interesting that this movie gave her the chance to work with Danny again. He was the director of photography. After that, she took a short break. She came back to American screens in 2009 with Duplicity, starring Clive Owen again. She talked about her 2-year break in an interview with People, saying that she wanted to make only good movies and didn't need to work a lot to do that. Some critics were thrilled to see her again. Entertainment Weekly said it was a thrill to see her again, though Julia was to do more than just act. Along with acting, she created many projects over the years, such as TV versions of the American Girl series. But that was the background to her performing career. She started her acting career in the drama Eat, Pray, Love in 2010. She then had parts in Larry Crown 2011, Mirror the Next Year 2012, and August Osage County 2013, which won her a nomination for an Academy Award. Julia won an Emmy in 2014 for her role in The Normal Heart. After this, she was in some big movies like Terry 15's Secret in Their Eyes, 1 or 2 years later, and in 2018 she played the lead in the Amazon show Homecoming. In addition to her work, Julia was known for dating famous people back in the day. Keith Dylan McDermott, Jason Patric, Liam Neeson, and even Matthew Perry were some of the famous guys she dated. She finally chose to marry country singer-songwriter Lyle Lovett on June 25, 1993, which came as a surprise. In Marion, Indiana, they got married. They seemed to love each other, but the marriage didn't last. The couple broke up in March 1995 and got a divorce in the end. Following that, she was with Brad for 3 years, but things fell apart when she met Danny. Got married in 2002. As proof of how much they loved each other, Julia said that she and Danny were both Hindu, as was her husband. They haven't been apart since then and have had 3 children together. There isn't much known about the couple because they've kept their private lives very secret. A lot of hints have been dropped over the years about how their family works, which is a big surprise. Family. Julia has been in a lot of romantic comedies, so it was only fair that she got her happy ending in real life. But it wasn't like that at first. It looks like she's finally found the right person for her, and even though they've been married for 20 years, they're still having the best times together. She once told someone that seeing her husband walk through the door every day is like a dream that keeps coming true and makes her happy. Even though they were in a long-term private relationship in a world where most relationships are made public and last only a short time, they never really lost their spark. From what Julia says, to get it, you must kiss all the time. In her interview, she said that 2 bathroom sinks and lots of kisses were the keys to her long and happy marriage. They shared sweet pictures of each other on Instagram on July 4th, 2024, to mark their 22nd wedding anniversary. Everyone knows about how they met on the set of The Mexican in 2000 and fell in love. They are together, but not everyone knows everything about it. In the first place, Daniel was married to makeup artist Vera Steinberg when they met, while Julia was seeing star Benjamin Bratt. Julia said that Daniel got his divorce taken care of, which had nothing to do with her. But at the same time that he was going through the divorce process, she broke up with Benjamin, whom she had been seeing for 3 years. According to an interview Julia gave to Oprah in 2003, she thinks that's the only reason they were able to fall in love and be together. A lot of people heard about her split in the news. After she broke up with Benjamin, she was pictured wearing a now iconic t-shirt that looked like it was made at home and had the words "Aloe Vera" painted across the front. Everyone thought it was a picture of Danny's ex-wife Vera's dog, even though she never said what it meant. There was a lot of talk about it. Infidelity between Danny and Julia was said to be going on behind his wife's back. When Julia said out loud that she stood by what was written on her shirt, the reports got worse. There were so many reports that she and Danny were having an affair that it was almost believed. Things calmed down when she switched out the shirt for a white dress and finally married Daniel. Julia says that marrying him was one of the 3 most important events in her life because she found her true love. She thinks Daniel did a great job with this. In 2019, Julia talked about her relationship in an honest chat with The Sun. That Danny made her feel like her best self, which shining a light on her. She told him that he loved all of her qualities and even told her about the ones she didn't know. This made her feel like she didn't need to change anything about herself. Their wedding happened quickly because it was a surprise party. Julia said that people thought they were going to an Independence Day party when they actually saw the couple say their vows. Since then, 20 years and counting have been wonderful. They've had the chance to work on some projects together, which is great. Thinking about this, Julia told the secret to their happy and healthy relationship at work in an interview in 2018. She said they drove to and from work together and spent most of their time in the car together. Also, she said that when they got home, they put their work away and took some time to relax. The two are also financially strong, even though they play in very different leagues. Daniel is thought to be worth about $10 million, while Roberts is said to be worth an amazing $250 million. Even though there is a big gap, it doesn't seem to have affected their relationship, which has stayed strong over the years. But this isn't Julia's first time getting married. She was quickly in love with country music star Lyle Lovett before she met Danny. It only took them 3 weeks to get married in 1993, and Julia famously walked down the aisle barefoot in a white Comme des Garçons dress that Lovett bought for $2,000, even though they looked like they were madly in love. Being with someone for 3 weeks before getting married was a bad sign. They were married for only 2 years, until 1995. In an interview in 1998, Julia talked about their time together and said that their marriage may have been a mistake, but it wasn't a mistake. The woman also said that their marriage led to many good things, such as many memorable and exciting events, but Julia was with Keith before she was with Lovett. She almost married Keith. Luckily, she knew it wasn't what she wanted, because she was mentally smart. So, she called off the wedding a few days early, and then she was seen on a lunch date, and then on a trip to Ireland with Jason Patrick, Keith's friend and co-star. Keith is said to have said that he was proud of Julia for seeing how young and silly they were, even at the last minute and through all the pain and difficulty of what they were going through in 2006. Julia and Daniel have built a life together based on mutual respect and shared artistic journeys. They did this by learning from their past marriages and relationships. They are very close and have been for a long time in both their personal and business lives. Over the years, their family has grown because of how close they are to each other. A girl named Hazel and a boy named Finesse are Julia and Daniel's twins. Their youngest child is Henry. Their kids show how close they are to each other so much that Julia has noticed how much her kids look like her and her husband. In an interview in 2017, she talked about how she felt and said that she couldn't put it into words without sounding cheesy or silly. Her children, on the other hand, showed how much she and Daniel loved each other. Julia and Danny have worked hard to keep their kids out of the public eye because they value their privacy. There have only been a few touching times that have reached us. One of these times was when Hazel, who was 12 at the time, chose to give wigs for kids her long blonde hair. Julia told her daughter how proud she was of her, especially since her daughter had always been the center of attention. She said it was big for Hazel, who was a girl, to show off her long hair, which got a lot of attention. She praised her daughter and said she was brave. Hazel has also mostly stayed out of the press. In July 2021, at the Cannes Film Festival, she walked the red carpet for the first time. That was her big break into the business. She wore a beautiful dress and was there to support her dad at the opening of his movie Flag Day. They didn't show up in public very often, which made me think that Hazel might be interested in the same things her parents have been interested in for a long time. Hazel's twin brother Phineas is also figuring out what he likes to do. Young Phineas likes to try new things and is very active. He loves surfing, as shown by several Instagram posts his dad has shared of him riding waves and having fun. He also likes skateboarding. He was seen in public for the first time in a long time in June 2021, when he went on a trip with Danny in Los Angeles. He had his skateboard with him, showing that he loved dangerous sports. Their twins, Hazel and Phineas, have gone off to college, and Julia has talked about how she's adjusting to being a mom again. In December 2023, Julia talked on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon about how she's fully accepted college life, even going so far as to dress like the school mascot to fit in. She also talked about how grateful she is for the relationship she has with her grown-up children. She told Today magazine that she thanks both of her older children very much because they let her be the same mom she always has been to them. She said that she and the twins talked about things and understood each other a lot. Henry, born on June 18, 2007, is the youngest child. He is athletic like his bigger brother. He likes skateboarding, BMX, and even dangerous sports, just like Vinny's. Danny shared a video of Henry doing a backflip on a trampoline on Instagram in May 2019. He joked in the comment that Henry was tripping. The kid seems to have a natural desire to go on adventures, which Danny often posts about on Instagram. For example, on Henry's 14th birthday, Danny posted a video of the teen doing a trick on a skateboard ramp. They have tried their best to keep their kids normal and out of the press, even though they are growing up fast. Even though each kid is finding their own way, it's clear that they all have their parents' sense of adventure, creativity, and close family ties. People always want to know how Julia, 56, stays so young while still looking amazing. This is because she is a great mother. Also, she always says the same thing. She said that having a good life, having good genes, and liking a good man made her this way. After that, she thanked Danny for making her so happy that she stayed young. They are always deeply in love with each other and aren't afraid to show it. But lately, rumors of trouble in paradise have been going around. A source says that their relationship is about to end because they are having problems that won't go away. A source said that Julia recently gave in a lot to the point where she moved her family back to Malibu from San Francisco, where they bought a house in 2020. In the fall of 2023, they sold their $11 million home to make Daniel happy because he missed surfing and his business ties in Malibu. However, the source says that things don't look so good now that they've moved. Julia is now doing her thing while Danny does his. They are back to living the La life. In fact, they're living such separate lives that they even live in different houses. Also, Daniel seems to be back to hanging out with his beach buddies and film contacts, while Julia is focusing all of her attention on her job. The source said that Julia usually just did a movie here and there. But since the move and the fact that her twin children are now adults, the couple has an empty nest and Julia is filling it with work. She is still acting and at the top of her game after more than 30 years in the public eye. Her two most recent movies were Ticket to Paradise with George Clooney, which came out in 2022, and Leave the World Behind, which came out in 2023 and was Netflix's biggest hit. But someone close to her says that the pressures of her job are beginning to affect her personal life, especially her marriage. This is a very important time for Julia and her husband Danny. They have been through a lot of ups and downs in the past. But this time, it's harder for her to ignore how hard her busy work schedule is making her feel. The source said that balancing her successful job with their loving life together was now the problem. But it looks like Julia and Danny are both determined to make their marriage work, even though things are hard right now. Someone who knows them well said that they both want their marriage to work out in the end. But Julia keeps taking over the show, and fans are wondering if she and Danny will ever be able to find balance again and fix things before it's too late. How Julia's health? Sadly, it doesn't look like that, because Julia is also having some problems of her own. In 2019, when she lost a lot of weight, the media went crazy and everyone was worried about her. As she lost weight, people started to talk about possible health problems that may have been to blame. She did tell her mom about it, though. Now we know that the stories were true and that Julia was really having health problems. Fans were worried at the time because the pictures of Julia made her look weak and in pain. Reports now say that her fight with spinal meningitis, which she got in the 1980s, was supposedly getting worse and worse. Some people who knew her well even said that her vision was quickly getting worse. That person also said Julia knew meningitis could make you lose your sight because she was already blind in one eye. According to the source, her other sight was quickly going away, and she was most afraid of not being able to see her children. 51 years old at the time, she also had constant pain in her head and neck, which was caused by the inflammation that came from having meningitis. Her family and friends were very worried because they thought her situation might be life-threatening. Thank goodness that was 5 years ago. Julia is still healthy as ever, but new worries about her health have come up. Celine Dion announced in 2022 that she has stiff person syndrome, a rare and painful disease that made her tour impossible to go on. Also, we now know that she's not the only famous person with a rare disease. Julia has been dealing with the same illness for over 15 years. Even though she has a successful job, she has had this condition for a long time. It is marked by a big drop in platelets. In order to keep her job, Julia has had to get treatment every day for the sickness. Like a lot of other people with this problem, she has been very careful about her health. Sources say that Julia first became worried when she started getting bruises that she couldn't explain. At her husband's urging, she went to the doctor right away, which is how she got her diagnosis. Researchers have found that thrombocytopenic purpura can sometimes show up without any obvious signs. Luckily, she went to the hospital right away. When the immune system makes antibodies against platelets, it causes a disease with dangerously low platelet counts. The treatment also takes a long time and includes frequent doctor visits to check on platelet counts. Julie had been sick with that for a long time, which was sad. Even so, she continues to inspire fans with how hard she works at her job and for her family. Julia has been very strong in the face of her health problems, even though she has had a lot of trouble. Friends of the actor say that she keeps a positive attitude and often plays down her illness so that people don't worry. She keeps doing what she loves, which is acting, even if it means getting treatments or working through bouts of exhaustion. Many people look up to Julia for how hard she works at her job and with her family. People who know her respect how brave and strong she is for not letting her health rule her life. Even though the future is unclear, Julia's strong spirit shines through. What did you know about Julia's health? Post your answer below. It would be great if you could like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like this movie.